You've been conditioned to believe that the longer you work out, the better your results will be. That transformation demands hours of sweat, exhaustion, and endless reps until failure. This belief has been repeated so often that it's become gospel. But the truth? It's a lie. A well-disguised, mass-accepted, profit-driven lie that's wasting your time, draining your energy, and setting you up for failure. The fitness world is filled with noise, louder than ever. Voices screaming that 2-hour sessions are necessary, programs glorifying 6-day-a-week training marathons, advice built around guilt, shame, and the idea that if you're not constantly pushing yourself to the brink, you're not serious enough. It sounds inspiring. It feels motivating. But it's fundamentally wrong and dangerously misleading. Time alone is not the metric of success. Time does not equal results. It never has. What matters isn't how many hours you spend in the gym. It's what you do with the minutes you have. Focused effort, strategic design, and targeted execution create results. Random effort just creates exhaustion. It's not about how long you train. It's about how smartly you train. That's the uncomfortable truth no one wants to admit. The myth that more hours means more gains is seductive. It sells because it taps into the idea that success is purely about work. It flatters the ego. It rewards the masochistic mindset. But science doesn't care about myths. Biology doesn't respond to hustle. It responds to stimulus. The human body adapts to specific signals, not arbitrary time frames. You can spend 2 hours in the gym and stimulate nothing, or you can spend 30 minutes and trigger powerful adaptation. Efficiency, not time, is the variable that matters most. There's a fundamental difference between motion and progress. Motion burns time. Progress builds change. Motion feels productive. Progress is productive. And the moment you stop confusing the two, everything shifts. When workouts are built with precision, duration becomes irrelevant. When training is structured around overload, progression, rest periods, and recovery, results accelerate regardless of the clock. But here's where most people fall. They don't measure effectiveness. They measure sweat. They don't measure load, volume, or progression. They measure fatigue. They treat soreness as a badge, exhaustion as evidence, and burnout as sacrifice. This is not discipline. It's disinformation. It's not commitment. It's chaos. Discipline is knowing when to stop. Intelligence is knowing what to focus on. Strength is knowing the difference. The obsession with hours is born from misunderstanding. People fear they're not doing enough, when in truth, they're doing too much of the wrong thing. The body doesn't need endless punishment. It needs targeted demand, progressive tension, smart volume, and enough recovery to rebuild stronger. Training longer without intent just increases stress, not success. The more you push without strategy, the more you sabotage your own potential. This isn't about doing less. It's about doing better, about waking up to the truth that time is not the hero of transformation. Clarity is. When you train with purpose, your workouts become weapons. When every rep has meaning, every set becomes a tool. When you know exactly what adaptation you're targeting, your results become inevitable. But when you rely on time as your only guide, you end up lost every time. The lie of long workouts is deeply ingrained. It's been sold for decades, marketed by influencers, pushed by programs that value aesthetics over science. It's easy to package, easy to promote, but hard to escape. Because once you believe that more is better, you start to ignore the signals your body sends. Fatigue becomes normal, plateaus become frequent, injuries creep in, motivation fades. And still, people cling to the illusion that they just need to train harder. They don't. They need to train smarter. The most effective bodies are not built in the longest sessions. They're built in the most efficient ones. The fittest individuals don't waste hours. They maximize minutes. They don't chase sweat. They chase stimulus. They don't repeat effort. They refine execution. They don't grind. They grow. And they do it by rejecting the myth that success is tied to time. So ask the hard question. Are you chasing results or chasing exhaustion? Are you building power or just burning hours? Are you following the crowd or following what actually works? The world has sold you a false path, and every minute you spend blindly following it is a minute lost to mediocrity. It's time to rise above the noise, cut through the fiction, and embrace a new standard, one based on knowledge, not repetition, on precision, not punishment, on progress, not pride. The lie has controlled the narrative for too long, but the truth is clear. And once you see it, there's no going back. There is a hidden addiction that plagues millions, one that disguises itself as dedication, hides behind motivational slogans, and feeds off insecurity. It's called overtraining, and it is not strength. It is weakness masquerading as effort. Overtraining is not simply the result of training too much. It's the consequence of training with the wrong mindset. It begins with the false belief that more is always better. It grows through the toxic cycle of guilt when rest is taken. And it becomes a full-blown dependency when pain and fatigue are seen as evidence of success. The reality is brutal. Many aren't training to improve. They're training to punish themselves, and they call it discipline. This addiction is reinforced everywhere by influencers who glorify grind culture, by fitness plans that confuse exhaustion for effectiveness, by a society that equates suffering with worthiness. The message is relentless. If you're not pushing harder, you're falling behind. So people push. They ignore warning signs. They override their body's signals. They feel sore and call it growth. They feel drained and call it effort. They feel empty and call it sacrifice. But what they're really doing is running in circles, getting nowhere fast. The body is not a machine that runs better the harder it's pushed. It is a complex system built on balance. It thrives on stress and recovery, challenge and restoration, or tension and release. When one side is neglected, the system breaks. When stress outweighs repair, performance plummets, progress reverses, hormonal levels collapse, immunity weakens, sleep quality disappears, and the very training meant to elevate you begins to destroy you from within. But here's the truth most ignore. Overtraining is not proof of commitment. It's proof of poor planning. No elite athlete reaches the top through chaos. Their programs are precise, their recovery is scheduled, their deloads are intentional, and their success comes from controlling volume, intensity, and timing, not blindly pushing through pain. The difference between success and burnout is not how hard you work, but how intelligently you manage your effort. Still, many cling to overtraining because it gives them a sense of control. It becomes a ritual, something to validate their desire to change. But the obsession to do more blinds them from the damage being done. Progress stalls, frustration builds, confidence erodes, and yet the only solution they're told is to double down, push harder, sleep less, train longer, and repeat the same cycle expecting new results. This isn't ambition, it's destruction. What most need is not more volume, but more awareness. They need to understand the signs: chronic fatigue, constant soreness, mood swings, insomnia, declining performance, frequent illness. These are not signs of weakness. They are signals that your body is trying to protect itself. Yet, in the fitness culture built around ego and hustle, these signals are ignored until injury strikes, until burnout hits, until motivation dies completely. Overtraining thrives in silence because most are too afraid to admit they're not getting better. They fear that resting means falling behind. They're afraid that listening to their body is somehow soft. But real strength is not found in how much you endure. It's found in how wisely you adapt. Recovery is not laziness, it's a weapon. Rest is not retreat, it's reinforcement. Breaking this addiction begins with understanding that more is not the answer. Smarter is. Training 4 days a week with structure, intensity, and recovery can outperform 6 chaotic days of overexertion. A 45-minute session focused on quality movement and progressive overload will always outperform a 90-minute marathon of fatigue-driven volume. Let go of the idea that pain is your proof. Let go of the belief that progress must hurt. It doesn't. It must challenge you, but it must also respect you. Your body is capable of incredible growth, but only when it's allowed to rebuild. Every gain you seek, whether it's muscle, strength, endurance, or fat loss, requires not just stress, but adaptation. And adaptation demands recovery. The addiction to overtraining is not sustainable. It doesn't lead to breakthroughs. It leads to breakdowns. It doesn't create champions. It creates injuries. It doesn't build pride. It builds regret. And those trapped in this mindset need to face the truth. If what you're doing isn't working, doing more of it won't fix it. Your worth is not defined by how tired you are. Your progress is not determined by how long you trained, and your transformation will never be achieved through punishment. It will be achieved through balance, through structure, through clarity, and through the courage to stop doing what's not working, break the addiction, break the cycle, and finally give your body what it's truly been asking for, not more effort, but more intelligence. For decades, fitness has been hijacked by emotion, by slogans that sell suffering, by marketing that glorifies fatigue, by voices that shout louder than they understand. And as a result, far too many have forgotten or never learned that the body doesn't respond to pain. It responds to science. There is a reason some people train less but grow more. There is a reason some build strength faster with fewer sets. There is a reason some burn fat, gain muscle, and improve performance in a fraction of the time others spend on endless workouts. The difference isn't genetics, or it isn't willpower, it's understanding. They know how the body works. They follow principles, not feelings. They train based on physiology, not punishment. Progress is not a mystery. It is biology. It is adaptation. And the key to transformation is understanding how the human body actually functions. Every rep, every set, every rest period must align with principles like progressive overload, mechanical tension, metabolic stress, and recovery capacity. When these principles are ignored, training becomes guesswork. But when they're applied, training becomes a formula for undeniable results. Pain doesn't build muscle, tension does, soreness doesn't build strength, overload does. Exhaustion doesn't burn fat, sustainability and metabolic demand do. Yet the industry continues to push the false idea that more suffering means more progress. This lie creates chaos. It drives people to chase volume without intensity, to lift without progression, to move without direction. Training must be precise. The body only adapts to the stimuli it's given. If you train with the same weight, the same reps, and the same routine for months, your body stops responding. It has no reason to change. That's not a plateau. It's a failure of progression. It's a failure of strategy. But those who understand science don't repeat the same mistake. They track volume. They increase intensity. They manipulate rest. They focus on recovery. They plan their training with intention, not just effort. There's a reason the top athletes in the world don't spend hours in the gym every day. It's not because they're lazy. It's because they train efficiently. Their workouts are built to deliver a specific response. Their volume is measured. Intensity is controlled. Deloads are planned. Recovery is prioritized. And the results, they speak for themselves. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what works. The body has thresholds. After a certain point, additional volume doesn't help. It hurts. After a certain point, cortisol rises, testosterone drops, nervous system fatigue sets in, muscles stop recovering, and instead of adaptation, you get inflammation. Instead of growth, you get regression. This is not theory. This is physiology. This is data. This is science, and it cannot be ignored. Fat loss isn't about endless cardio. It's about creating a sustainable caloric demand, optimizing hormones, and preserving lean muscle. Muscle gain isn't about destroying your body every session. It's about signaling your body to adapt by lifting with proper intensity and allowing time to recover. Strength isn't about lifting heavy every day. It's about building neurological efficiency, managing fatigue, and progressing over time. All of this is backed by research, by decades of real data, not motivational quotes and gym bro myths. The mistake most people make is confusing effort with effectiveness. Just because something feels hard doesn't mean it's productive. Or just because you're sweating doesn't mean you're stimulating. Just because you're tired doesn't mean you're transforming. Real results come from applying the right dose of the right stimulus consistently and intelligently. That's the secret. Not secrets buried in 90-minute workouts. Not secrets hidden in punishing training sessions. The answer is in understanding what your body needs, when it needs it, and how to deliver it with precision. And once that switch is made, from emotional training to scientific execution, everything begins to accelerate. No more wasted time. No more wasted energy. No more spinning wheels. Just targeted training, measurable results, and sustainable growth. Fitness isn't about proving how much pain you can take. It's about learning how your body operates and using that knowledge to build something powerful, something real, something lasting. And that starts when you stop worshiping suffering and start trusting science. Every rep, every rest, every meal, every recovery session, they all serve a purpose. The body doesn't reward the reckless. It rewards the informed. And when you train based on science, the results don't just come faster, they stay longer. Suffering may feel noble, but it's not necessary. Understanding is, stop chasing the burn, start chasing the truth, because once you master the science, your body will do what it was always meant to do, grow, strengthen, and thrive. Dedication has been misdefined. Somewhere along the way, it became distorted into a performance, one where fatigue is praised, burnout is applauded, and self-destruction is mistaken for self-discipline. What once meant focused commitment has been twisted into a show of how far someone can go before they collapse. But real dedication isn't about how much you can endure. It's about how precisely you act, how consistently you show up, and how intelligently you adapt. That's the truth that most won't accept because it requires more than effort. It requires awareness. The myth of dedication says if you're not sore, you didn't work hard enough. If you're not drenched in sweat, you didn't go far enough. If you didn't spend hours in the gym, then you must not want it badly enough. These are lies, or persistent, exhausting lies that have led countless people into injury, fatigue, disappointment, and eventually quitting. The myth doesn't just mislead, it destroys. This isn't dedication, it's desperation. It's the belief that suffering is a signal of seriousness, that collapsing at the end of a session is a sign of greatness. But greatness doesn't come from pushing yourself into the ground. It comes from understanding how to build yourself up. And that takes more than willpower. It takes wisdom. Real dedication is quiet. It's measured. It doesn't scream for attention. It doesn't chase approval. It doesn't care if anyone else is watching. It's built in the decision to train when it's time to train, to rest when it's time to rest, and to refine when things stop working. That level of control, of maturity, is the true face of dedication. And most never reach it, because they're too busy performing for a standard that's built on illusion. The truth is, showing up to the gym day after day without progress isn't discipline, it's dysfunction. It takes more strength to pause, reassess, and pivot than it does to mindlessly repeat a flawed process. Yet the myth keeps people locked in repetition, trapped in the idea that more equals better, that struggle equals success, and that if something isn't working, the answer is to simply do it harder. But if intensity without intelligence worked, everyone would be in peak condition. If effort alone was enough, the fittest bodies would come from the most exhausted minds. But they don't. The strongest, leanest, most capable people in the world are not those who push endlessly. They are those who optimize relentlessly. They understand what to do, why to do it, and when to walk away from what doesn't serve them. That's not weakness. That's strength in its most refined form. The myth also breeds guilt, or the guilt that rests in the mind of anyone who takes a day off. The guilt that questions whether skipping one workout means backsliding into failure. But rest is not retreat. It's reload. It's the moment the body rebuilds what training broke down. Without it, nothing grows. Without it, nothing strengthens. Dedication isn't never missing a workout. Dedication is knowing which workouts to miss and why. The myth says dedication means saying yes to everything. But real dedication is about what you say no to. No to distractions, no to outdated beliefs, no to workouts that steal recovery without offering adaptation. No to ego lifting, no to noise, no to wasting your potential chasing false ideas. That level of clarity doesn't come from doing more. It comes from understanding more. It comes from elevating your standard beyond just being tired, beyond just being sore, beyond just being seen. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Many people who call themselves dedicated are simply addicted to being busy. They thrive on chaos. They fear rest. They measure worth in minutes spent working out rather than results gained. But busyness is not progress. Movement is not mastery. And obsession is not transformation. What separates those who achieve lasting results from those who burn out and quit isn't effort. It's direction. It's alignment. It's training with purpose, fueled by strategy, grounded in truth. Real dedication is boring to outsiders. It's not dramatic. It's not flashy. But it's effective. It builds, it compounds. And over time, it creates a body, a mind, and a life that no longer needs to shout because the results speak for themselves. You don't need to prove your dedication through hours in the gym. You don't need to validate your ambition with pain. You need to wake up to the truth that smart training, targeted effort, and strategic rest are not weaknesses. They are the highest form of self-respect. And self-respect is the foundation of real progress. The myth of dedication is loud. It's everywhere. But the truth is stronger because it lasts, because it delivers, because it frees you from the grind and brings you into the realm of mastery. There is a powerful shift happening in fitness, a quiet revolution that's redefining what it truly takes to build a strong, capable, and transformed body. It's the awakening to a truth that has been buried beneath years of misinformation. You don't need long workouts to get extraordinary results. You need targeted, intelligent, and intentional ones. The notion that time spent equals progress made is collapsing. Because time has never been the factor that matters most. Effectiveness is. For far too long, people have been tricked into believing that longer equals better, that if you're not in the gym for 90 minutes, you're somehow leaving results on the table, that if your workout isn't dragging on for hours, it doesn't count. But this thinking is not only outdated, it's costing people the very results they're chasing. What's been overlooked is the undeniable power of intensity, structure, and focus packed into shorter time frames. A short, well-designed workout doesn't mean easy. It doesn't mean doing less. It means doing what works without wasting a single second. It means walking into your training with clarity, knowing exactly what needs to be done, how it needs to be executed, and why it matters. No fluff, no filler, just purpose-driven movement designed to stimulate growth, trigger adaptation, and produce results. This is where transformation actually happens, not in the quantity of time spent, but in the quality of work applied. Because let's be clear, a 25-minute workout of focused resistance training with progressive overload will always outperform a 90-minute session full of distractions, half-effort sets, and aimless movements. Precision beats volume, always. And it's not theory, it's proven. Athletes, coaches, and performance-driven individuals all around the world are now leveraging high-efficiency training models, structured sessions designed to maximize returns in minimal time, from full-body strength circuits to focused hypertrophy splits, from power-based programming to metabolic conditioning. Shorter workouts are now outperforming traditional models because they respect what the body actually responds to: intelligent stress, strategic load, and proper recovery. It's time to break free from the guilt that comes with training less. Less time does not mean less commitment. It means more control, more focus, more respect for your energy, your time, and your biology. Short workouts allow you to train more consistently, recover more effectively, and sustain your performance long term. They don't rob you of gains. They enhance them by avoiding burnout and minimizing unnecessary fatigue. The truth is, long workouts often become a hiding place, a false sense of productivity. People stay longer in the gym not because it's more effective, but because they believe more time means more effort. But when every movement has purpose, you don't need to stay long. You need to stay sharp. The body doesn't count minutes. It counts mechanical tension. It counts load, frequency, and adaptation. If you can create the right environment in less time, you win. That's not a shortcut. That's mastery. Consider this. Most hormonal responses to strength training, testosterone spikes, growth hormone release, CNS stimulation, happen within the first 30 to 45 minutes of a workout. Beyond that, diminishing returns begin. Cortisol levels rise, fatigue accumulates, performance drops. So why push past the point of productivity when you can design your sessions to extract the most from the optimal window? This is not about training less for the sake of comfort. It's about training smarter for the sake of progress. It's about maximizing effort in a way that delivers measurable, repeatable results. Or whether it's building muscle, shedding fat, improving mobility, or increasing endurance, the principle remains the same. Short, focused, intelligently designed sessions will outperform scattered, time-wasting routines every single time. It's time to erase the idea that more time equals more discipline. True discipline is doing what's required and nothing more. It's knowing when to push and when to stop. It's about trusting the process, not dragging it out. Those who chase longer sessions out of fear are acting from insecurity. Those who pursue shorter, sharper sessions act from clarity and confidence. Don't just train harder, train wiser. Walk into your workouts with intent, move with intensity, and finish with power. Leave the gym with energy to recover, not just with a body that's too broken to grow. Shorter workouts are not a downgrade, they are an upgrade, an elevation of everything you thought fitness had to be. This is the new standard. Short, smart, strategic, because real results don't come from the clock. They come from mastery of movement, control of effort, and relentless consistency. And those who understand this are not only changing their bodies, they're taking back their lives. In a culture obsessed with grinding, recovery has been misunderstood, overlooked, and even ridiculed. It's treated like a weakness, a pause, a luxury only for the lazy. But here's what needs to be understood with absolute clarity. Recovery is not rest. Recovery is a weapon. One of the most powerful tools in the arsenal of anyone who truly wants to grow, perform, and dominate long-term. Training breaks the body down. Recovery rebuilds it stronger. Every rep you push, every set you grind through. It creates microscopic damage in your muscles, drains your nervous system, taxes your energy stores. But that's only one side of the equation. The other side, the side that completes the process, is recovery. Without it, training is incomplete. Without it, progress is impossible. Think of it this way. Muscles don't grow during a workout. They grow after the workout. Strength isn't built while you're lifting. It's built in the hours and days that follow, when the body repairs what was damaged and adapts to the stress it faced. If recovery is ignored, adaptation is blocked. And if adaptation is blocked, all that effort in the gym becomes wasted energy. The fitness industry rarely talks about this because recovery doesn't look dramatic. It doesn't come with sweat, struggle, or suffering. But what it does bring is undeniable restored strength, reduced inflammation, improved hormonal balance, better sleep, elevated performance, and faster gains. While others chase more volume, more time, and more pain, those who prioritize recovery grow while others stall. Recovery is not passive, it's active. It's a strategy. It's controlled nutrition, hydration, sleep, stress management, mobility work, and intelligent programming. It's understanding that deload weeks are not steps backward, they're launch pads forward. It's respecting that a rest day isn't a day off, it's a day for repair. It's building the resilience to stop so you can come back stronger, not weaker, not depleted, but sharper, more explosive, and more capable than before. Those who ignore recovery wear their fatigue like armor, not realizing it's slowing them down. Constant exhaustion is not a sign of commitment. It's a warning signal. If your body is always tired, if your joints always ache, if your motivation is constantly drained, that's not a badge of honor. That's dysfunction. And it's the direct result of treating recovery like an afterthought. There is a reason elite performers schedule recovery as aggressively as they schedule training. They know performance is not created during effort. It's preserved and amplified between efforts. They don't just train hard, they recover hard. Because they understand the equation, stimulus plus recovery equals growth. If the second half of the equation is missing, the formula fails, always. Sleep is not a bonus, it's a foundation. Poor sleep equals poor recovery, and poor recovery equals poor results. Nutrition is not a side note, it's fuel for repair. Without it, muscle protein synthesis drops, glycogen isn't replenished, and hormonal balance collapses. Stress management is not just mental, it's physical. Chronic stress elevates cortisol, slows recovery, and breaks down the very systems you're trying to build. These aren't suggestions, they are requirements. They are the pillars of true fitness, not just looking strong, but being strong. Recovery also prevents injury. Overuse, joint pain, and chronic fatigue all stem from a failure to recover. And injuries don't just hurt your body, they steal your momentum, they interrupt consistency, they drain confidence. Recovery protects you from those setbacks. It keeps you in the game, it keeps you building. And that makes it one of the most valuable assets in any long-term transformation. But here's the truth. Most people don't skip recovery because they're disciplined. They skip it because they're afraid that slowing down will cost them results, afraid that taking a rest day means falling behind. But the exact opposite is true. Recovery is not the enemy of progress. It's the accelerator of it. The boldest thing you can do is not always push. Sometimes the boldest thing you can do is pull back, recharge, and return with renewed fire. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's mastery. That's what separates those who burn out from those who break through. If you want to train at your highest level, you must recover at your highest level. If you want to grow faster, get leaner, get stronger, and stay in the game for the long run, then start treating recovery like a weapon. Schedule it, respect it, leverage it. Because when recovery is used properly, it doesn't slow you down. It launches you forward